So these right here are the perfect dessert for this time of year. I've got my pumpkin muffins and I've got my pumpkin pound cake with white sweet potato frosting. Both made healthy vegan style. No oil, no wheat, no refined sugar. If you like pumpkin desserts, you'll love these. And today, I'm going to show you how to make your own. Alright, so we're going to start by making our pumpkin muffins. And to make those muffins, this is what we're going to need. Now we're going to start with a fresh organic pumpkin. Now you could absolutely use canned pumpkin to make this recipe. But at this time of year when we have pumpkins fresh, this is the way I like to go. So I'm starting with a fresh organic pumpkin. I'm going to use some almond flour, some oat flour, date syrup, some apple cider vinegar. This is a mix of cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, and some ginger. I got some ground flax, a little bit of salt, some baking soda and baking powder, and then some vanilla. I'm going to use some walnut milk that I made here, and then some water. And those are the ingredients that we need to make this recipe. So let's get started making these muffins.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is cut, clean, and bake my pumpkin. Now if you use canned, obviously you can skip this step and go to the next step.
Alright, so I'm going to begin by making a flax egg, and a flax egg is just a way to replace regular eggs by using some ground flax and some water, mixing it together, set it aside, let it thicken a little bit, and then that acts as the replacer of the egg in the recipe.
So people often ask me, how do you cook with no oil and no eggs? And this is one of the ways, by making a flax egg. I love it because it's much healthier, it's easy to do, and it works perfectly.
Okay, so now we're going to get our dry ingredients mixed.
If you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe below.
Okay, so I've got my dry ingredients mixed and set aside. Now I'm going to mix my wet ingredients together before combining the two.
So I'm using walnut milk, which is definitely my favorite nut and my favorite plant milk, but you could use any kind of plant milk that you prefer.
So while I was mixing my wet ingredients and my dry ingredients, I had my pumpkin cooling. Now that it's completely cool, I can go ahead and clean it out, and then we're going to get it mashed up and add it to our wet ingredients. Let's do it.
So I want to answer a couple of questions that I think you may have for me. Number one, I'm using pot pumpkins, and I use pot pumpkins because they're smaller and I don't have so much pumpkin left over, but you could use any size pumpkin that you like. And then secondly, I know some of you are thinking, I'm gonna do this with sweet potatoes, and I'm all for it. They're one of my favorite foods and they will work, so I ain't mad at you.
Now I've got my dry ingredients and my wet ingredients both prepped. Now it's time to combine the two and mix them really well together.
If you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe below.
So we've got our batter mixed now. Now it's time to put our batter into our cupcake molds. Now if you have kids, this is a great time to let them come in and give you a hand. Kids love doing stuff like this, and so do I. So let's get to it.
So if you've seen some of my other videos, you probably know that my preference is to use a scoop like this, and I do it for uniformity. When you use a scoop, you know that everything is going to be about the right size.
Alright, so we've got them all filled up here and ready for the oven. Now I did want to mention that you have some options with these muffins. For example, you could put some chopped walnuts in here. You could put raisins in the batter. You could even put chocolate chips and make chocolate chip muffins. It's really to your discretion. But what I'm going to do to keep it simple is I'm just going to add a walnut on the top of each one of our muffins because I think that'll add some texture and it'll look really nice. So I'm going to do that now.
Now I know I've said it several times, but it's worth repeating. Walnuts are my favorite because they're so healthy.
Okay, I got them all done. Now I'm going to get them into the oven and get started on that cake. Alright, so we got our muffins in the oven. Now it's time to make this pumpkin pound cake. Now, to make the cake, we're going to use the same ingredients that we did for the muffins. The difference being, we're going to put frosting on the cake. So while our cake is in the oven, we're going to make a delicious, healthy vegan frosting to go over top. But first, let's get our cake mixed. Now I have everything mixed. I'm just going to spoon my mixture into my pan.
So you'll notice I lined the pan with parchment paper, and this is just to keep it from sticking and make it so it's very easy to remove once the cake is done.
All right, time for the oven. All right, so now our cake is in the oven. While we're waiting for it to bake and cool, let's go ahead and put together the healthy vegan frosting we're going to use to put over top. Now this is a very simple recipe, very straightforward. I'm going to use some Japanese sweet potatoes. I'm going to use some cashew butter, some walnut milk that I made, some vanilla, and some dates. Now with the sweet potatoes, there are a few different varieties of white sweet potatoes. I've talked about that before. These are Japanese sweet potatoes. The skin is dark, but the flesh inside is actually white. I find that this variety of white sweet potato is a little creamy and a little sweeter than others, although the other sweet potatoes will work just as fine too, the other white sweet potatoes. But this is what we're going to use today. Let's combine it all, get our frosting ready, and then top that cake.
Now I know some of you are wondering, but what if I can't find white sweet potatoes? Well, white sweet potatoes are delicious, but so are the orange, and they'll work just fine. So you can use those in their place.
All right, so I got my frosting done. Now we're just waiting for our cake to cool, and once it does, we'll top it. But I wanted to show you, this looks just like a traditional frosting, only it's made with no oil and no refined sugar. But man, is it good. So again, once our cake cools, we'll get our frosting on there, and then it's time for a taste test.
So now that the cake is cooked, I'm gonna let it cool, and then for my favorite part, if you've been watching, you know I love adding the frosting.
All right. We've got both of our desserts done, and I gotta tell you, it's smelling pretty good in here right now. I got my pumpkin muffins, and I've got my pumpkin pound cake with the white sweet potato frosting. They both look great, smells great. Let's give them a taste.
And just like that, I realize that I have to retract the statement I just made to you, because my absolute favorite part is the taste test. Frosting would be second.
Yes, that's delicious. Frosting's delicious, the cake itself is delicious, everything about it, very good. Obviously this is going to be good, they're one and the same. This is just without frosting, walnut instead, but I'm going to bite it anyway. So glad I did. So if you're new to my channel and you're wondering how to find the recipe, look below the video and tap on the word more, and then you'll see the beginning of the recipe. Tap on the word more a second time, then you'll see the full recipe, and then you can begin to make your own. Thanks for watching.